Annyeong! Welcome to Dollightful and happy Halloween! This episode's a little spooky, so if you're one of my younger viewers, watch with caution. There are so many great monsters that could be translated into doll form, most of which Monster High has covered already. But I'm going to create a Wendigo. I've had this Skeletor for a while now, but never felt inspired to do anything with her. To be honest, the sculpting on this doll is so good, she gives me the heebie-jeebies. Props to the sculptor. To start her transformation, I take acetone nail polish and remove her factory paint using Q-tips. Then, using hot water, I soften her vinyl head so that it pops off the neck without harming the neck peg. Now it's time to remove the remains of stubby hair from the inside of the head. Take long needle nose pliers and wiggle them around to tear out the stubble. It's kind of a shame her hair was already cut because I want to give my custom black hair. Ah well, I'll have to reroute it. But before I do, let's add some antlers. First, I mark the placement of the antlers to keep them even. Next, take a stiff wire. I'm using kind of a 20 gauge wire. It's stiff enough where I can sort of bend it with my bare hands, but usually use pliers. First, cut a length of wire. This part's a guessing game, but better to be too long than short. Mine's about 10 inches. Using the wire, we're going to create 3 bases stemming from the inside of the head. Stab the wire into the head and feed it out through the neck hole. Let it sit there while you take the other end of the wire and stab it into the head and through the neck hole as well. Pull and adjust the wires until they are about the length of your desired antlers. Keep in mind the length of wire currently inside the head too. Twist the wires together and flatten the knot so that it will rest easily against the inside of the head. Cut off the excess and pull. Now you have this loop that's going through the head. Insert the third wire. This one doesn't have to be as long, mine's about 5 inches. Twist the end into a flat knot shape, should look something like this, and pull it inside too. Taking 2 pliers, twist all 3 base wires together. This creates a super strong triangular base capable of taking a lot of abuse. All you have to do now is shape the wire into an armature for your antlers. Taking my favorite 2-part epoxy sculpt, I begin to shape the antlers. The first pass is just to fill in the gaps and make a base. On the second pass, I begin sculpting details while referencing photos of antlers on my computer. I mostly used a nail file as a tool and got lots of nice gnarled details into the antlers. Spooky! When you're done, clean up the face with water or more acetone. Time to paint the antlers. I paint the base in a dark color first. Once that's dry, I brush on a lighter color to pick out the raised details in the sculpt. This technique is called dry brushing. When the paint has fully dried, coat it with a few layers of watered-down Duraclear matte varnish. I put an extra coat or 2 on the places I know are more likely to get knocked around. Time for new hair! I'm using a homemade reroute tool that consists of a needle cut at an angle and inserted into a drill chuck. One by one, I plunge small plugs of hair into the head. I go around the hairline first, then work my way inwards towards the part. I wanted to use long, black hair to resemble thick, natural Native American hair, because the Wendigos stem from Algonquian folklore. You might be wondering what to do first, reroute or antlers. Either way, you have to end up working around the other. I prefer rerouting last, but pick your poison. Make sure to thicken up the part and around the antlers to complete the reroute. Seal the deal by squirting Fabri-Tac glue in through the neck hole. We want to cover all the plugs on the inside of the skull so that they don't come out. If you pull some out by accident, just shove them back in there. Nobody has to know about it. To tame the voluminous 80s poof, pour boiling water over the doll. I'm going to make some major modifications to the doll's body. Thanks to Skeleta's thin mold, I was able to cut through the plastic using a set of pliers. Anything thicker and you'd probably have to use a saw or a power tool. Poor girl's all in pieces. Time to put her back together, but with a few changes. Using the same armature wire, I extended the neck and reconnected the legs, giving them a bend. To cover up the changes, I'm going to once again use Epoxy Sculpt to conceal and sculpt some new modifications to match my creepy concept. I'm also filling in the stomach area to give the doll an emaciated look, not a total skeleton. Wendigos are associated with starvation after all. Before the epoxy is completely dry, I'm going to add some bone-like texture using a rough sponge. And, just like the antlers, I'm using acrylic paint to conceal the epoxy and give more interesting color variation to the plastic, making it look more realistic. I also sculpted some cool spine details onto the neck. I guess I forgot to film that part. Since this monster is supposed to be grungy anyway, it's pretty easy to paint because you don't have to be careful. After getting the doll's hair up and out of the way, I give both the body and the face a layer or two of Mr. Super Clear. And no, I've never dropped a doll. Time for the face. I usually don't make scary projects, but when I do, I go all out. That said, I had a lot of fun with this. I took inspiration from the Wendigos in the video game Until Dawn, one of my favorite games right now, and also listened to many spooky stories about the monster. The origins of the creature revolve around malicious spirits, winter, starvation, and cannibalism. Scary stuff. I must admit that since I learned about the creatures from the video game, I went a little Wendigo crazy. I sketched a few versions of how I might reimagine the beast, but I digress. Make sure to keep a kneaded eraser nearby at all times. I rely on it frequently during the pastel stages of the face-up, especially to shape the eyebrows. I could have left the eyebrows off for a more dead and creepy look, but this is Monster High after all. I think she'd want her brows to be on point. I drew lots of red, raw-looking wrinkles to frame each of her wide, circular eyes. I put a little extra red pastel on her nose, too, to imitate the way your nose turns red when you're out in the cold. From here on out, I'm basically darkening the creases and lightening the wrinkles, using a combination of red, brown, black, pink, and cream watercolor pencils. For a complete list and explanation of materials, check out my All Materials for Doll Customizing video. For some added fun, I added a crack to her skull and some spots on her skin. To push the design over the edge, I decided to add white Pearl X powder. I wanted the eyes to look both frosted over and bright at the same time, catching the light in an unnatural way. For For the final touch, I decided to attempt an open mouth look by adding thick strokes of acrylic paint to form 3D teeth. I also shaded the lips with a dark pencil to create a fake edge to the lips and further aid the illusion of an open mouth. After that final layer of Mr. Super Clear, I'm using Liquitex High Gloss Varnish to gloss areas of the face. In this case, I'm coating both the irises and the teeth to look wet. Woohoo! That's it for the face! But before I can pop her head back on, there's a few more touches I want to add to the body. Using Elmer's Glue All Extra Strong formula, I'm going to glue on brushed yarn wefts to create the look of deer's fur. You know, the thick hair that hangs off the bottom of the animal's neck. Very aesthetically appealing, I think. And a design element I wanted to include. I also decided to add a little hair to the legs, too. The final step was reassembling her head and masking the neck joint with a few more tufts of brushed yarn. That's a wrap for this Halloween custom. All the body modifications made this video a little long, but I hope you don't mind. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more fun doll customs. And I'll see you in the next... Hey, wait a second. Where's the Wendigo? Huh. You guys wait here for a second. I better go find her. Wendigo! Wendigo? Huh? Oh, there you are. Over here! Wait. Who knew, right? Wendigos like donuts more than human flesh. Stay artsy! Annyeong!